we have another Jeremiah from Texas. Jeremiah wants to talk about the evangelical religious community getting more involved in the political scene. I think that's kind of what we were talking about.
Very much so, yes.
Jeremiah, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi.
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 What do you want to talk about today?
That you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that description. I've just noticed a lot. I watch a lot of like progressive YouTube politics channels, and they've been talking a lot. Everything's always about how it affects the evangelical groups, and it's just I hear a lot about it. And it just kind of seems like it's getting worse. I'm not sure if that's just my perspective of it, or if others see it that way, or kind of curious how you guys thought on it.
I'll make a quick comment on that. Like as far as I'm in Canada, and growing up, I don't remember really any talk too much about politics, like coming from like the the church community. And in the last few years, even in Canada, it's becoming such a big issue, and it's being talked about, our own politics and also American politics. And I in my opinion, I kind of see it as it's part of like a bigger, I don't want to say conspiracy, but sometimes it does come across as like a bit of a conspiracy theory that like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and a lot of people are feeling out of control. And I think under like a certain narrative, especially like the evangelical narrative, of like what we were talking about earlier, like good versus evil, I think that's the lens that they're looking through things at. And so it's easy to have that, like everything fall under that same thing. So if things are going like not well politically, I think it's easy for people to think that they have some sort of like role in it to like help overcome like this evil forces in the world. And I would say that it's definitely becoming more of a thing, because it's happening all over the place, not just in America, but it seems to be the worst right now in the States. I don't know. I'm not American, and I try to keep up with American politics, but I can't speak to it maybe as much as my friends who are actually living in it. I don't know. What do you think, Zod?
As far as if it's worse, it's a hard thing for me to say because I see things from two different perspectives. Having been in it, I probably don't have the same sense of the scope as before. Because when I was younger, they were very heavily involved in politics, and they urged Christians to vote, of course, against issues like abortion or things like that, gay marriage and stuff like that. So I can't really tell if it's getting worse. It feels like it is, but a couple things that I guess I would observe are the character of what the evangelical community is accepting and celebrating is changing quite a bit. And so I think, in my opinion, I think that we would have found Trump totally horrifying and repulsive in the church environment I grew up with, at least when I was a child. And for some reason, it feels like something has changed to where they find that acceptable. And then the other thing is just the language feels to have gotten a lot meaner as far as calling people various names, considering them oversensitive or whatever. I feel like that's intensified a lot to where it feels like a change in the character of the evangelical community. And I don't know how much of that's real and how much is my perception. So
yeah,
I
don't know if that provides you any clarity.
I think it does help. I mean, I do like to try and do things that can help if I can volunteer or donate when I have any money, which isn't very often. But is there anything you might think that would maybe help build on the atheist or the secular side trying to get the message out there more? Or I don't see that there's much I can do.
I think there's definitely things we can all do. Like, we won't all do the same things to the same extent. And for any of us, it feels overwhelming. Like, even if you have a reasonably sized platform, I think the extent of the problem and your ability to move everything, it feels like you're trying to plug up all the holes in the dam, and it gets overwhelming. But I think all of us can make a difference, even if it's just in our normal everyday conversations. I don't know. It's going to feel like you're probably losing more battles than you're winning, but I don't know what to do more than just be a reasonable person. Try to help people see little. When I'm engaging with people I grew up with, or just Christians and conservatives in general, I try to find something that they can observe in the conversation and identify with, and some point that I can help them see without giving up a lot of their identity and a lot of their perspective, and that they can shift a little bit without a huge amount of buy-in, or without losing face or losing part of their identity as whatever they are. Give them something that they can gravitate toward. And then aside from that, just be there openly identifying as who you are to whatever extent it is safe and healthy for you. And then just show people that you're a decent person. Like, a lot of times not arguing and just being decent, but letting people know who you are, that makes a big difference too. But it's all little tiny moves in the right direction, and sometimes swimming upstream, and sometimes we might not win the battle, and all we can do is just make things less bad until the tide turns. I don't know if that helps at all.
I was thinking the same kind of thing. Like, I don't know what more we could really do other than try to help like de-escalate. I feel like you're like what you were saying, like the even the rhetoric has gotten so intense lately. Like, maybe all we can do on a practical level is just continue to like try to be charitable when we're listening to people, and not show the same kind of thing that they're doing. Maybe don't use the same like inflammatory language if we can help it. I mean, some stuff is worth getting upset about, but I think just when they've been hearing that, the other side is just like literally evil, I think showing them that you're like still a pretty decent human being and having like a reasonable conversation with them can cause them to actually like have a little bit of that dissonance in their head, which can, later on down the road maybe cause them to rethink maybe why they have been accepting that for so long, of that people are evil or that the other side's evil. Honestly, I think like there's so much of just the engaging on your own side. So you can hear people are evil and you can believe it, but if they actually have conversations with people from the other side, it's hard to hold on to that idea for much longer when you meet some really, really great people who don't agree with you. I don't know.
All right. Thanks so much for giving me your opinions. And I'm a big fan of yours, Zod. I appreciate it. My whole YouTube atheist experience started with your channel. So thanks.
Oh, wow.
No, that's awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for calling in, Jeremiah. I second that Prophet of Zod is one of the best channels out there. I think that there's so many different people in the activist community, and everybody brings something different to the table. And I think it's always interesting to see like whose content really like stands out to different people, because I think people need different things at different stages of it. And I had mentioned to you, we were talking about it earlier, that like I think your content's really good for people who already are kind of aware of the fact that they're doubting, but they're having a really hard time like sorting out their thoughts on it, because I think you've spent a lot of time sitting down and really thinking through all the wording. And I know personally for me, like it was kind of in that muddy area of thinking about it. And then when I came on your videos, like I was a few months into it already, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what I've been trying to say. Like that's the wording. I couldn't think of it. And part of it is because I was still kind of thinking under my Christianese framework, and I hadn't even like maybe heard some of those thoughts before. So anyway, I'll just fangirl for a second there.
Well, thank you.